It's funny how the smell of fresh bread can take you back. It's the summer of 1976, a time when everything seemed new, uncertain, and yet full of promise. Welcome to Smith History, separating the Smith from the myth. My name is Brian Smith. 1976, I had just graduated from Upper Sandusky High School, a quaint little Midwest town that I still think of every day with fondness. The nation in 1976 was celebrating its 200th birthday. America was draped in red, white, and blue. Bicentennial fever was everywhere, from gas stations giving out commemorative quarters to the parades rolling through the town, with kids waving tiny flags and chewing double bubble. In theaters, Rocky was making underdogs dream big, and Jaws had already convinced half the country to stay out of the water. The radio was spinning tunes like Don't Go Breaking My Heart, Afternoon Delight, and Let Your Love Flow. And if you were near a TV, you might have caught Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, or The $6 Million Man, reminding us that anything was possible if we only believed it was. That summer of '76, I believed it. That was the year I took my real first job at a brand new bakery called Tasty Pastry. I helped paint the walls, build the counters, and I learned how to make bread that would make the whole town stop by for just the aroma. I was young, hopeful, and thought maybe, just maybe, I could build a life around the smell of cinnamon and coffee. In 1976, it seemed like the whole country was trying to rediscover itself after some hard years, and I was trying to find myself too. I remember my boss at the bakery said he needed more help for the night shift, someone to help glaze donuts, ice cookies, and keep the bread from burning while the rest of the world slept through the night. I immediately thought of my mom. I thought that job would be right up her alley. She was 40 then, still relatively young, still strong, with hands that knew how to turn flour, sugar, and a little love into magic. So I told my boss about her, and he said, bring her in. I was still living at home at that time, and we became the mother and son night shift at Tasty Pastry. We'd drive those few miles in my blue Mustang, the radio humming, the windows down to keep us awake, the warm summer air wrapping around us. It's funny, I can still hear her laugh over the hum of the tires on the road. We'd drive those few miles to the bakery in my 1973 Blue Mustang, a car I wish I'd never let go of. The moonlight would glint off the hood. Mom would hum some of those old tunes, and I believed that we could make it work. Once we got to the bakery, our world was sugar and laughter and flour in the air. But Mom was in her element, rolling dough, telling stories, laughing at her own jokes, keeping me and other staff going when our heads started to nod at 3 a.m. She seemed to pick up steam around 3 a.m. She had this ability to turn exhaustion into comedy. We'd get slap happy around sunrise, laughing about the silliest things, burned donuts, sticky frosting, or the radio DJ who couldn't pronounce bicentennial. Looking back, those nights were magic, a little mystical even. I didn't know it then, but I was watching my mom at her happiest, her most alive. Inside the bakery, our world was making the donuts and the cakes and the pastries. The ovens would flicker, the refrigerator buzzed like it was holding its breath, and Mom's moods rose and fell right along with the oven temperature. Looking back now, it's hard to believe that we worked together that summer through the night shift, but somehow we made it work. We laughed a lot that summer. The later it got, the sillier we became. That was the summer I saw my mother at her brightest. Eventually, the summer of '76 faded, and I got married that fall, and life started to feel heavier, more grown up. Responsibilities, bills, the endless march of adulthood. And Mom, she started to struggle with her health. Diabetes, fading health. The sparkle dimmed a little, though her laughter never really left. A couple of years later, the owner offered me the bakery for $20,000. It seemed like a fortune then, and I turned it down. I've thought about that moment more times than I can count. What if I'd said yes? Maybe I would have stayed in Upper Sandusky. I would have been my own boss. I could have hired my entire family and built a business filled with laughter, sugar, and second chances. I could have had Mom as the head baker and Dad as the chief donut officer. Instead, life took me down another road toward nursing, hospitals, and eventually a doctorate, something I never would have achieved if I would have purchased the bakery. I left the quiet streets of Upper Sandusky for the traffic and noise near Columbus, Ohio. My world got bigger, faster, busier. And though I found purpose, sometimes I wonder if I left behind a simpler kind of happiness, a small-town joy baked fresh every morning. But life, I've learned, has a funny way of working things out. Even when we take a different road, God's fingerprints are still all over the map. I can see them now, in the glow of the oven light that summer, in Mom's laughter echoing through the bakery, in the smell of rising bread that somehow still lingers in my memory. I may not have bought the tasty pastry, but I did keep something from it. The lessons, the laughter, and the love of a mother who could make a feast out of faith and a few ingredients. And that's worth more than any bakery ever was. When I look back on that summer of '76, God's fingerprints were all over that experience with my mom. He was there in the laughter, in the warmth of that oven, in the smell of cinnamon rolls rising before dawn. Back then, I didn't have the wisdom to appreciate it, but I do now. There's a special kind of beauty in the memories that don't fade, those simple, sacred moments where time seemed to stand still, when life was a little messy but sweet, like a kitchen dusted in flour. That summer of 1976 will always be one of those moments for me. A season of youth, laughter, and love, served up warm, glazed with memories, and sprinkled with grace. That was the summer I saw my mother at her brightest. As the years went by, time wasn't as kind to her as it should have been. Diabetes came first, then the surgeries, the loss of her foot, and later much of her eyesight. Yet even when the world dimmed for her, she never lost that laugh. She could still fill a room with warmth, and her sense of humor, well, it was as sharp and sweet as her icing glaze. Mom passed away in January of 2005. I miss her and think of her every day. I miss her cooking and her baking, especially at the holidays, and her uncanny ability to make something wonderful out of almost nothing. Flour, sugar, butter, and faith. That's all she ever seemed to need. So, here's to you, Mom, to your laughter, your stubborn strength, your sugar-dusted miracles, and to that summer of 1976, when time stood still long enough for us to bake up a memory that still warms my heart today. And that's Smith history, separating the Smith from the myth. My mother and I did work together on the night shift at Tasty Pastry, believe it or not. I'm Brian Smith, and if you ever catch a whiff of fresh bread baking or hear an old Elton John tune drifting from the radio, take a deep breath and remember, it might just be your own summer of '76 waiting for you. Thank you for listening.